Hey guys, welcome to Last Movie Standing. I want to talk another favorite subgenre of mine, which is body snatcher movies. And I'm not just going to talk about Invasion of the Body Snatchers because that's the one thing that everybody knows. And we're going to talk about those because that's like the most of this. But I want to talk about just all the body snatcher movies that I own, that I'm a fan of, and even some that I don't own that maybe you don't know about. I the original plan for this was going to be a ranking video, but I have such a hard time ranking these that, and we're all different, because I'm gonna start with one I don't own yet, and this is probably most people's number one movie, not mine. Not mine. I don't get the hype about it. 1978's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm sorry, guys. Let's just rip that Band-Aid off.
Look at this.
I don't care for this movie. I wanted to. I've watched this 3 times, maybe 4, since Donald Sutherland passed, like just recently, because I never saw it before. But this is like the definitive version everybody goes to, and I find it boring. I want to like it. There are things about it I like. I like the way it's shot. I like the micro photography they do for the aliens. Like, I love that it's a PG movie that has nudity in it, which I'm going to make a whole other video about that and talk about that movie more specifically there. But I just wanted to bring it up. I don't own it, and I do recognize that it is probably most people's favorites, and it is not mine. Like, it would be last on my list. It's just, I find it kind of boring. There's another movie. I just discovered this, which was kind of interesting. It's not that good of a movie, but it's got a really interesting premise to it. It's called The Puppet Masters. Not to be confused with Puppet Master, but The Puppet Masters. I think it's from 1994. I'll put it on here if I'm wrong. But 1994 Puppet Masters. It does have Donald Sutherland in it too, which is kind of a callback to Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. But instead of the aliens like taking them over from the inside and like growing out of cocoons, it's literally like, it reminds me of, are any of y'all like superhero fans? Y'all know that character, or the Suicide Squad? You know the character Starro? He attaches the little starfish alien that attaches to your face with the one eye. These things aren't that dramatic. They attach to your back. They're little creatures, and they attach to the back of your neck, and they basically take you over from there. It's literally Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but I just discovered this. It's got a Blu-ray from Kino, I think. I don't know if it's out of print yet. It came out a few years ago, so it might be a little harder to find with the slip. But if you haven't seen Puppet Masters, check it out. Make your own decision. It's got the girl from Doc Hollywood in it. That's the only other girl. That's the only other person I know really in this movie. But check it out. Oh, who else is in it? Keith David is in it from The Thing. We're gonna get to that movie later in this thing too. But he's also in this movie too. So it's kind of like, let's get the body snatcher people together and make a movie, and it's not very good. But it has potential. It's got moments. So check that out. Now we're going to get into the movies that I own on physical media. And I want to start with 2. One that everybody knows, and one that I feel is just criminally underrated. And they came out the exact same year. I would consider these 2 films twin films or sister films. Like you have Armageddon and Deep Impact came out the same year, basically the same movie. You have Olympus Has Fallen, White House Down. Twin films have always kind of existed. I would consider these like that, even though they're very different. But first, I'm going to talk about The Faculty. Faculty from 1998, Robert Rodriguez, great movie. We're supposed to be getting this on 4K soon from Shout, but that kind of came and disappeared. Don't know what's happening with that. But high school, this is basically high school Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is really dope. Amazing cast: Josh Hartnett, Elijah Wood, Usher is in this movie. I don't know his name. The guy who played the T-1000 or the T-2000 in Terminator 2 is in the Robert something. What's his name? It's on here. Robert Patrick is in this movie. Vincent Jensen is in this movie, and she looks amazing. This is if you saw my TV stuck on DVD, you know how I feel about her, because her role in Nip Tuck kind of, but she, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful in it. Great cast, great movie. And this is really a cult classic. It really is. But the movie that I really want to talk about, this one's about aliens. Not all these Body Snatcher movies are about aliens. Disturbing Behavior came out the exact same year as The Faculty. Everybody knows The Faculty, but not many people know about Disturbing Behavior. Disturbing Behavior is basically the same movie, except instead of aliens, it's very Stepford Wives or Get Out. It's very like implant in your head kind of thing. This has a great soundtrack. I don't have this soundtrack. I found it for $3, and I may go back and get it over Labor Day weekend. This weekend, because it's got a really cool soundtrack. Katie Holmes is so. This is why I watched this movie. I discovered this movie late. I may have seen it when it came out when I was a kid, but it was one of the things where you just kind of see it on TV and you just don't remember it because you just remember The Faculty. But Katie Holmes basically played the goth chick, the sexiest goth chick you've ever seen. No, that's a lie. I would say the sexiest goth chick is maybe the chick from Take Me Home Tonight. If you know what I'm talking about, comment below. But who else is in it? The who plays his little sister? So it's got James Morrison. He moves to this new town with his family. Something's right in Denmark, you know. But what I really find interesting about this movie, the premise. So have you ever seen Stepford Wives? We're gonna get into Stepford Wives. Stepford Wives, you kind of already see the beauty, you know, that's the whole thing. It's this whole 1950s Americana feel. But it's already like that. This is kind of the before. This is like somebody trying to do that. So basically what happens, they're triggered by their sexual impulses. Like they get, you know, there's this doctor who's doing this to them all. He's played by, I don't know his name, but he was the bad guy and he was in Double Jeopardy. He's been in so many things. But basically, once you get implanted, you don't activate until you get triggered. And how you get triggered, and this is mostly the guys and the girls. The girls do this too, by your sexual impulses.
Self-mutilate this, fluid boy.
It kind of triggers you. If you get turned on, you're turning into a robot, and you turn it. You just flip light switch, and you're like in this violent rage thing. And then it goes from you have these. It's 98, and it's set in like a Portland kind of town. So you have this very punk rock kind of goth, not goth, but you know, this kind of punk rock scene opposite the jocks. And when the jocks they turn into like, you know, if you turn, you basically turn into a jock in like a 1950s, you know, very preppy kind of thing. You change attitudes, very Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but very Get Out at the same time. Very high recommend on Disturbing Behavior, but also if you're more into alien movies, very high recommend on The Faculty. This movie actually has more nudity in it though. I think there's only one scene. This movie has nudity, but it's covered by shadow. Throwing that out there. Speaking of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, we got to talk about it. So I have 3 Invasion of the Body Snatcher movies, and I thought it was appropriate because Arrow just announced the 4K for 2007's Invasion with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig coming to 4K, which initially I got so excited about. Like that, I was like, that's day one. I'm getting it. I love this movie. Invasion. from 2000. I'm not talking about it without bringing it up. Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig, great movie. This is one of the first Body Snatcher movies I really saw. How old? In 2007? I was like 20 when this came out. So, and then it kind of turned me on to all the other. I was a fan of The Faculty, but The Faculty is such a different, more modern take. This is like a direct, like, remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is getting a 4K from Arrow. But I have so many questions about that. Am I going to get it? Yes. Is it going to be much better than this? Probably not. I'm pretty sure this is a 50 gigabyte. No, this is 25 gigabyte disc. Arrows is they haven't put what kind of restoration it is. And Arrow's been doing this a lot, where they did it with Clash of the Titans. I'm going to make a whole video about this. But this movie was shot on film, but they didn't do a 35 millimeter restoration or a digital restoration. So I don't know if this is already available on 4K on streaming, and Arrow is just releasing it on 4K on physical. That could be a thing, but I honestly don't know if there's going to be much difference. And what really baffled me is today Arrow put out a trailer for this, and they released a 720p version of the old trailer instead of like the new 4K trailer. So that baffled me. But I'm going to get this. I'm going to wait for an Arrow sale because I don't think this is going to sell out. But definitely check out Invasion. The Invasion. It's really good. It's even got one of the original cast members from the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatcher. They kind of bring her back as an homage. The girl who's in the 1978 one, she's the masseuse in the mud bath place, whatever. She's the only one who like lives. Spoilers if you haven't seen the 1978 one. She's the only one who kind of lives at the end, or you think, but she's a character in this, and not just a cameo in and out. She's kind of a character in this, which is kind of cool. But definitely check out Invasion. Body Snatchers. This movie is so criminally underrated. This movie is so good. This is a remake of the 1978 Body Snatchers, which is again a remake of a 1950 something. Is it 56? We'll get to that one. This is a remake of it, just called Body Snatcher. It says The Invasion Continues. But what's interesting about this take, so most all the other Invasion movies, the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, all of them, they all take place in like a city, in like a metropolitan area. This takes place on a military base, which honestly is probably scarier than anything in in like New York City. Like imagine, what's that movie? That Stanley Kubrick movie. Imagine Full Metal Jacket meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers. We follow this girl. I don't know her name. She's the girl from she was in that Al Pacino movie where he's blind. And she dances with him. What is the name of that movie? I can't think of it off the top of my head. With Chris O'Donnell. She's in that with him. She's also in that Michael J. Fox movie. Why am I blanking on all these freaking names right now? I'm like, For Love or Money. Oh my god, that took me forever. For Love or Money. You see her naked in this, boy. You do. This one's really good. The cinematography, like the lighting and the shadows, and they still do the whole like mouth thing, the famous thing from the 1978 one. They do that mouth thing to call. But basically, what this movie is the concept is the outbreak started on it's aliens, but it started on a military base. That is scary. Like, and it's even got the dude from Full Metal Jacket. It's got the general, whatever his rank is. He's in this movie. It's like the bad guy, but Great movie, very underrated. Forrest Whitaker is in this movie too. Really good movie. Very high recommend. I don't think enough people have seen this movie, and it's only available on Blu-ray. It's a Warner Archives, and this Blu-ray looks amazing. Like, it's 50 gigabytes. It's a 2K restoration, I think from 2016. But you would not know this wasn't 4K. It is that good of a Blu-ray. Like, it's so good. Very high recommend on this movie. Great artwork too. Absolutely amazing artwork. All right, let's switch it up a little bit. I know I'm gonna get some heat for this, but I don't care. I actually like this movie. I'm sorry. 2011's The Thing. We're gonna talk about 1982's. Is it 82 or 84? 82. We're gonna talk about The Thing, but I want to first talk about the prequel. It isn't a remake. It is a prequel, and it's actually pretty good. Like, the problem with this movie is this movie is way too good for this movie to stand a chance. And that's really what it is. It's got Joel Edgerton, Mary, what is her name? Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Really good movie, especially the ending. Like, the ending makes up for everything, because the end of this movie is the beginning of this movie, which is done very well. But the thing that most people have a problem with is the CGI, which I will admit, the CGI does take over, because the original 1982 movie is infamous for its practical effects, which are done probably better than any other sci-fi horror movie ever. Like, they're so amazing. They wanted to do, if you watch the behind the scenes of this, they tried to do that. The problem with this movie was, and someone can correct me in the comments, but the problem with this movie was they tried to do it for real, on-set practical, with CGI enhancements later. But the problem is, CGI just went in and took over the whole thing. So instead of having like 50% real and then 50% CGI, they replaced everything with CGI because it was just easier or something, which kind of ruins the kind of appeal of this. I mean, the monsters are great. The CGI is a little wonky, especially if you compare it to this. But I mean, it's 2011. What else are you gonna do? You're gonna use CGI. But I mean, if this movie was made today, they'd be boasting no CGI in this movie. We did it all practical, because that's like popular right now. But if you are scared to give this a try, if you've never seen it, just give it a try. Because especially, I learned this after my Nightmare on Elm Street video. Most people probably grew up with this one and have never seen this one. Because, when I did my Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2011 remake, a lot of people in the comments were like, I love this one. This is my introduction. So this one might have been. And like I said, it's not that bad. Or I think this is way better than the Fog remake. I'll say that. But The Thing, both of them, amazing. 1982 is this is one of the greatest in Body Snatcher movies ever. And there's an original. I forgot to mention the original because I don't own it. But this is a remake or a retelling. Somebody corrected me once in the comments and said it's not a remake, it's a retelling. Whatever. It's a remake or retelling, adaptation. You make up your own mind. Of another movie from the 1950s, like early 1950s, black and white movie called The Thing from Another World, which is pretty good. I need to own it on Blu-ray. I'm waiting to see if they're going to release a 4K, but I think it's it's Universal. So maybe we'll get a 4K of that, because that would look amazing. But this is one of the greatest ones ever. But revisit this one. If you don't like this one, just give it one more chance a few years later. Separate it and give it a try, because it's not that bad. It's really not. Stepford Wives. This is from 2004. This is the remake. So there is one from I think it's 1975. I find that one kind of boring. Just I don't like movies from the 70s. I'm trying to get into them. I'm like slowly being pulled into like some 70s. I think that's one of the reasons I don't like the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm not really into that time period that much. Same with the original Stepford Wives. It's a little slow for me. I love this one. Like, this is a feel good another Nicole Kidman one, but instead of aliens, it's essentially more robots in this one. They moved to basically Pleasantville, this very idyllic 1950s. Men are in charge, women are this, and but all the women are robots. Really great concept. I love these kind of movies. They kind of redid it with a modern day one that came out I think 2 years ago, which I didn't really like it. What was it? Don't Worry, Darling, which they should have marketed as Stepford Wives, but they completely tried to separate them. But if you watch the movie, it's Stepford Wives, and that's what everybody was saying. But the end, I'm not going to spoil the ending of Don't Worry, Darling, but I didn't care for it that much, even though I love that. 1950s is one of my favorite time periods. It's one of my favorite, like, I don't know. I love the movies. I love the style. I love a lot of things about the 1950s. And I love the kind of look that they were going for with this. Even though I guess it would be a little bit 70s with the hairstyle, but they were going for very 1950s. Check this out. It's not, I wouldn't say it's dated. It's fun. It's from 2004. So some of the CG, the only CGI is like a robot dog. But Christopher Walken, Glenn Close, Matthew Broderick, John Levitz? I forgot his name. John something. The guy from Mom and Dad Save the World. I love that guy. Faith Hill is in this. Bette Midler is in this movie. God, I love Stepford Wives. Speaking of Stepford Wives, let's stick to the robot real fast. Get Out. I say robots. This is a lot more like disturbing behavior where it's like an implant. But Get Out. Get Out, I remember this was like such a big like deal when it came out. It's gotten better over time for me because I thought I like it, but I thought it was just really overhyped. Like, this launched Jordan Peele to superstardom essentially overnight. And I feel like he hasn't been able to live up to that. And I don't blame that on Jordan Peele at all. Jordan Peele's got his fan base. I just feel like everybody's like, he's the new master of horror. I'm like, he made one movie. And then he did Not Us, or Us, and then I really didn't. As soon as that chick started talking, threw me out the whole movie. I was done. I was walking out. That was like out of body experience. Like, that's where you went. But we're not talking about Us. Get Out. All these movies basically are social commentary movies, if you think about it. They all have something to do with some kind of social commentary on the world. And this is a big one. The next one's a big one too. But this is really a big one about modern, racism in America, whites and blacks. Like, really interesting movie and very timely. Like, this is probably the most timely planned movie released in the past, like, 10, 15 years. Definitely check this out. When it comes to Jordan Peele, I will mention I am a Nope fan. I love Nope. I hated Nope when I first saw it because I don't like the design of the alien. It threw me out. But the more I revisit it, the more I'm like, I really like this. So maybe I should revisit Us. But check out Get Out because this is very much like a Stepford Wives kind of modern movie. Last, we're going to talk about the OG. One of my favorite ones on this list. Like I said, I love it. The 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Is it 56? Did I get that right? Yeah, 56. Black and white. Kino just released this 4K, which looks absolutely amazing. And it's got 2 different aspect ratios, too, which is really cool. There's not really that much difference. It's like the black bar at the top goes from like, it's really not that big of a difference. But this is the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So everybody wants to praise the 1978 one for being the best. Cool. That's a remake of this. But you got to understand, this is also from 1956. So, you know, you have the Hays Code, you have all these things that you just couldn't do, which honestly, the 1978 one wasn't, they had like one bloody scene in that whole movie, and there's more nudity in that movie, but the sexual undertones in this movie crack me up. The more I watch it, I love watching 1950s movies just because of the repression of that time period, but this is very much a social commentary on being alive in the 50s, communist. That was kind of the thing with this movie was, it was a message about communism. Like, you don't know where they are because this is, was it Cold? No, was it Cold War? By the beginning of the Cold War, I remember the Russians, the Red Scare, was a really big thing in the 1950s. That might be why it's red, right here. Not really sure, but it's literally Invasion of the Body Snatch. Like, the only thing they don't do is this is the thing where they open their mouth and point, and that's how they don't do that in this movie. Thankfully, it's a little bit more subtle, but I mostly got into this movie because of this lead actress. What is her name? Dana Winter. Oh my god, she is gorgeous, you guys. Oh my god, she is gorgeous. But if you've never seen the original 1956 Invasion of the Body Snatchers, very high recommend. It's really good. The effects for that period are really good too. How they do the aliens. They still do the whole like duplicate and everything. But very high recommend. This is like number one on my list. It kind of has to be just because it's the original, but it holds up. Like, I think this is a better original than the Thing from Another World, which is I think 51 or 50. It may have been 50. It was early, but that wasn't really about it. I mean, it kind of was, but I mean that thing was just a monster kind of a thing where the Thing remake was like aliens. So, I mean, this is aliens, but very good movie. High recommend. So that's just a list of Body Snatcher movies that I love, that I own. And I wanted to mention some that I don't own and that I don't particularly like, but I know that others love them. Puppet Masters is a new one that I just discovered. And I never heard of that movie before. So I wanted to throw that out there too. But definitely, if I had to pick top three, like ones that I don't think people have seen that are underrated, would definitely be Body Snatchers from 1993. Very, very underrated. Disturbing Behavior, extremely underrated. And I would say the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, just because I feel like it's such an old movie. I don't think enough people have really given this a chance. I would say give it a chance, but not all black and white movies are for everybody. It is widescreen. It's not like 4:3. It is, it's got 2 aspect ratios. It's got 185:1 and 200:1, which if you know what that means, you know what that means. It's just the depth of the bars, but definitely check these movies out. Very high recommend. Halloween's coming up, and if you're looking, some of these are more scary and some of these are just more thriller based, but I love this subgenre so much. I think this is, I can't think of the last time we really got a body snatcher kind of movie. Like I'm not talking about streaming, because there's streaming movies come out there's 20 a week, so I can't keep up. But like a new body snatch movie. If there's any that I forgot to mention, please leave me suggestions below, because like I said, I love this genre, this little subgenre, and I'm always looking for more, because like I said, Disturbing Behavior surprised the hell out of me how much I love this movie.